My name is Sam. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Fairygodboss, and Fairygodboss is the largest career community for women. We offer a ton of great free resources to help you throughout your career, like anonymous company reviews, job listings, articles, virtual recruiting advice, so much more to help you succeed. So before we get started, we will be taking questions at the end of today's webinar. You can leave them in the Q&A. You'll find that at the bottom of your screen, and you can leave questions as yourself or anonymously. I saw a question. Yes, you are all automatically muted, so don't worry if you're making any noise over there. Your screens are also turned off, so I can't see the pajamas you're wearing. We'll also be recording today's webinar, as I mentioned, and sending it out later today in a follow-up email. It'll also be posted to the Fairygodboss site, so if you miss anything or you want to share it with a friend, you'll have the chance to do so. Here with me today is Kelly Cuesta. Kelly is currently a Cloud Blue EMEA Field Marketing Manager at Ingram Micro. She's a community builder working to find solutions that bring sustainability to the growing ecosystem. As a serial giver and advocate for diversity and inclusion, she's passionate about women's empowerment, edtech, data, and entrepreneurship. Thanks so much for being here today, Kelly. Over to you.
Thank you, Sam. So welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to be part of this session. So I hope you enjoyed today and you can get, some takeaways to apply either in your workplace or in your personal life. So so today we're gonna cover how to overcome imposter syndrome. And I'm gonna do just like a really high level introduction about myself because I think that is important when we have any events. So make sure that you know the credentials of the speaker. So as I mentioned, my name is Kelly Cuesta. I have spent most of my career in marketing and business development, working for technology company SaaS and in startups and multinational, always in Europe. So I have worked for different kind of vendors such as Cloud Blue, MicroStrategy, and Red Hat, and also as an activist in diversity and inclusion. So I have spent my spare time volunteering for different associations. And some of them are here in the presentation, such as Leaning Latinas for Madrid and London, circles, and also the Leaning Self-Made Woman that I am the leader for the network. Apart from that, I am the founder of Like-Minded Females LMF Madrid chapter and advocate for Tech London, the LATAM group. So I have been working for PW London as well as a co-president, a kind of pro bono activity and head of communication. I am facilitator of I Am Remarkable as well, a workshop that I really encourage you all to go to because that helps you a lot to learn more about yourself, about the different kind of triggers that you have and how you can overcome those kind of fears. And also, I am part of PWN Global, that is a global association for women for gender balance in leadership. Okay, so let's get started. A kind of house rules or housekeeping for today. So please make sure that you share as much as you want to, and you are in a really safe space. So don't be afraid of sharing, and keep discussion really confidential because this is a safe space, as I mentioned. Be not judgmental, contribute and share, of course, and leave your ego and fears at the door. So the most important thing here is that you are open to learn something new and open to learn from each other as well. So so let's get started. So next slide. So as we move through today's session, I encourage you to think about your own experiences because some of these kind of questions that I'm gonna cover today gonna resonate with all of you. So, feel free to do a kind of self-reflection as we go along because that's gonna help you as well to, make sure that you see the relation between this imposter syndrome that everyone has go through at some point in their life and your own experience. Yeah, so let's see. During this session, you will learn about the systemic or personal barriers that might be impacting your success, either in your personal life or your professional life. So I'm gonna share with you some best practices to tackle those kind of challenge, but at the same time, how to react about those triggers when you see them in your life. Yeah, so let's start with a few questions, just a starting point. So if you have either, a piece of paper next to you, a notebook, or just a doc file open in your browser, so please make sure that you keep this as we go along, because that will help you to take notes and reflect as we go through this session. So just three questions that I would like to, share with you to self-reflect about them. So, are you comfortable accepting praise for your accomplishments? Do you doubt your general intelligence, or did you have any kind of self-doubt about your knowledge even when you are an expert on that? Do you think others could be disappointed if they realize what you really know? So this is like a really good example of how you can start to monitor yourself, self-reflect, and identify those patterns to be able to overcome the imposter syndrome. Yeah, so there are plenty of different kind of, meaning about imposter syndrome. So even though, it felt like it came out of nowhere, with a little work, we can identify situations where imposter syndrome, that is an emotional phenomenon that repeats over time, so are most likely to crop up. Imposter syndrome is often sparked by novelty. So when you are new in a role in a new company, or you are new leading a new kind of project in your current company, for instance, so you feel that kind of fear that I will be able to do that, I will be successful, I have all the knowledge or all the skill sets that I really need to lead this project. So you have some questions there, and it's when the imposter syndrome is more present than ever. Also, if you are part of an underrepresented groups, or if you are, for example, women in technology, why technology? Well, because unfortunately, still the IT field is mostly male dominated. So that is why if you are either a woman or either woman or either part of underrepresented groups, so you can feel a kind of lack of sense of belonging, and that might, trigger more your imposter syndrome. So I'm gonna give you some examples about different kind of personalities and inspirational kind of models that some of, just to make sure that you don't feel like this is just something that happened to you. You are not alone. In fact, 70% of people of the population, based on research, says that at some point in their life, the professionals, the 70% of the professionals, have gone through the imposter syndrome. So let me give you three examples. Maya Angelou have written 11 books, but each time she think, oh, they are going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they are going to find me out. So she was not feeling like she really deserved those kind of awards, or that she's that great on what she is doing, that she really deserved it. Another example, Meryl Streep. She has won different kind of awards through her career. However, he never overcame that kind of imposter syndrome in her life, that it comes over and over again when she is recording a new video. And most recently, Michelle Obama. So in December 2019, when she was in North London doing, visiting a kind of a school all girls school in North London. So someone asked her how she was feeling about being viewed as a symbol of hope. Her response was really, really wonderful. She said that she still have a little bit of, imposter syndrome, and it never goes away. So she was actually wondering why others are listening to her. And this is a really, really good example about how imposter syndrome sometimes is, women and underrepresented groups are more likely to have this syndrome during their lives versus, the male population, for instance. When you are part of underrepresented groups, and I'm gonna give you an example, my own example. So my native language is not English. I was born in South, and most of the time when I am part of a kind of board meeting, let's say, so I am either or the only woman at the table or the youngest one. So sometimes I was feeling that kind of imposter syndrome because I was thinking, well, why they gonna listen to me? I am the youngest one, and I am, part of an underrepresented group, and I don't even speak English as my first language, right? So I thought maybe they will not take me seriously. So that is a kind of example about imposter syndrome. Yeah, so a healthy approach to these kind of situations is to analyze them. So this will help you to prepare ahead time. So it's not about don't have imposter syndrome in your life. It's more about see which kind of strategies you can apply when this imposter syndrome appears in your life. Yeah, so let's take a moment to reflect the last few times where you felt insecure about yourself, about your knowledge, about your experience, about your expertise. So in that piece of paper that I mentioned before, so just reply these kind of 4 questions that I have for you. How did you respond physically and emotionally last few times that you were feeling you are a fraud? What was the result? What did you do to get through the situation successfully? And what could have made you feel more confident at the time? So I'm gonna give you a kind of a couple of minutes to reflect about this, take notes, and yeah, so let's reflect about those questions. Also, feel free to use a chat box to share, because as I said, we are in a safe space. So the idea is that we can share best practices and learn from each other. So feel free to use a chat just to reply to these questions. And I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes, okay? Okay, we have some responses here on the chat. So physically uneasy, knot in my stomach, anxious. Yeah, anxiety is the most common feeling when you are having this kind of situation. Yeah. Usually fear because I am the only female in the room. Okay. Out of breath because when I try to talk, like I was running. Yeah. And sometimes shame. I feel the same physical reaction. Cool. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing your own experiences. And this is gonna help us a lot to, go through this session and just identify the triggers that impact your own life and just to realize how you can tackle when they appear, okay? So let's move forward. Okay, so Dr. Valerie John, in her book, The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, Why Capable People Suffer from Imposter Syndrome and How to Thrive in Spite of It, so builds on decades of research studying fraudulent feelings among high achievers. So she identified 5 types of imposter syndrome that we're gonna dive into. And we're gonna reply some questions just to identify which kind of personality or which kind of imposter syndrome we have, because normally you don't have only one, it depends on the situation. So just make sure that you keep your piece of paper next to you because that's gonna help you to go through this. Okay, so we have 5 types of personalities on these. So we have the perfectionist, the superhero, the natural genius, the soloist, and the expert. I wonder if you have known about these personalities before, or if you can figure out which kind of personality you have. So please feel free to share with us on the chat. So then, I'm just curious about this because I was, before dive into these topics, so I thought, okay, the most common is a perfectionist. But let me go through that, okay? Okay, so the perfectionist, that is the most popular one. So the perfectionists set extremely high expectations for themselves. Even when they achieve 99% of their goals, they will feel like a failure, and one small mistake will make them question their competence. This resonate with you? Have you experienced that? So they believe everything they do has to be perfect, 100%. So here are a few questions that you can ask to yourself just to see if you are a perfectionist one. So did you have trouble letting it go after making a mistake? Are you over prepared for meetings or presentations, for instance? Well, this resonates with me, the last one. Just previously the sessions, I have to confess, I prepare the session twice because I wanted to make sure that everything is working properly. You never know with technical kind of issues now with the era of Zoom. So it might be some kind of trouble, right? So yeah, so that is a perfectionist. So here is a tip. If you have replied yes to either of those questions, so you have this kind of personality, the perfectionist. So here a tip. So push yourself to act before you are ready. Force yourself to start that project, to stand up and say, yeah, I'm gonna go for that. I want to lead this project. And even if you are not a people manager, you can have initiative and you can be proactive and say, speak with your manager and say, I would like to take ownership on this project and go for that. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of going for something that you don't feel that you are 100% prepared for. So force yourself to start the project that you have been planning for months. Truth is, there will never be the perfect time. Never, never is the perfect time. Never is a perfect day. Never. So your work will never be 100% perfect. The perfection doesn't exist, but the excellence, yes, it does. So the sooner you can accept that, the better off you will be. So the second type of personality is the superhero, the superwoman or the superman. So these kind of personalities, they push themselves to work harder than the ones who are around to prove they are not imposter or they are not frauds. Okay, so they need to succeed in every single aspect of their lives, in their career, in their personal life. They have to be the perfect partner, the perfect friend, and don't do any mistake along the way. So they need to succeed in every single aspect of their lives. They feel stressed when they are not accomplishing something, and they are workaholics. So addicted to the validation that comes from working versus the work itself. So they have to put in more work to keep up with their peers. So let me ask you two questions just to see if this resonates with you. Do you feel pressure to work longer and harder than everyone else? Do you seek out new responsibilities even when your plate is already full? So learn to take constructive criticism seriously, not personally. Don't seek for external validation. You are the only one who is responsible for your career, for achieving the goals that you have set. Okay, so just focus on that and make sure that the path that you have chosen is the one that you want to follow to, become the best version of yourself. The third one is a natural genius. This kind of personality, is related to people that if they take a long time to master something, they feel imposter, they feel shame, they feel like a fraud. So they believe learning new things should be easy. To move past this, try seeing yourself as a work in progress. So accomplishing great things involves lifelong learning and skills building for everyone, even the most confident people. So just enjoy the path, just enjoy the journey, and make sure that nobody is perfect. Nobody knows everything about everything, okay? So let me ask you two questions again to see if you have this kind of personality or to see when this personality appears in your life. So do you give up on things that don't come easy? Are you ashamed to admit how long something took to learn? So then maybe you are a natural genius. Okay, the fourth one is the soloist. So they have to accomplish things on their own, otherwise they feel as a failure. They don't seek for help. They don't ask for help. Even when they are feeling they cannot move forward, they don't ask for help because they feel if they do that, they will be a fraud. So it is okay to be independent, but not to the extent that you refuse assistance so that you can prove your worth. So this is not related because when you are really good at something, nobody know everything about everything. So just make sure that ask for help when you need it, because it doesn't mean that you don't have the skill set to succeed. It just means that there are new things that maybe when you are starting a new role or when you have been promoted, you don't know about something. So just ask for help and just ask for this to your manager. Have a really, really trustful and really healthy relationship with your manager. and speak about that. So the last one is the expert. So the expert measures their competence based on what and how much they know or can do. Start practicing just-in-time learning. This is a really, really good advice for you if you have this kind of personality. This means uh, getting a skill when you need it, when you really need it. For example, if your responsibility change or if you have got a promotion, so go for that kind of learning, but don't try to get certification or enroll different kind of trainings just for the sake of that. Okay, so let me ask you two questions again to see if this resonates with you. So do you think you need to know everything about a job before you do it? Do you seek new training even though others say you already have the credentials to succeed? So let's reflect about those questions and about those personalities. I will send you the presentation later on so you can reflect on your own time. But I think this is a really, really good way to identify which kind of personality we have. Okay. So let's take a moment to answer the questions and reflect. So diagnose your own symptoms of imposter syndrome. You will find easier to relieve from this syndrome when you truly understand how it affects to you. Okay, so the fear that comes with imposter syndrome can paralyze us and keep us silent. So here are some kind of impacts in our life, not just professional, but also personal life about the imposter syndrome. Stress and anxiety. So when I asked you before about the last few times where you were feeling a failure, so most of you mentioned about stress, anxiety. So the imposter syndrome creates anxiety. With every action, we worry about other people judging us to be incompetent. That unnecessary anxiety and stress can lead to depression. So make sure, you are aware of the kind of, you know, the kind of ways that the imposter syndrome appears in your life, and then you can face or tackle those kind of challenges before getting worried, then end up, in a kind of a stress situation and have anxiety, because this is really, really unhealthy and can end up in depression. The next consequence is a decrease of effectiveness at work. So making us less positive and supportive colleagues, it also makes us less efficient workers. So that lack of confidence because we are feeling we cannot do something to exceed expectations, not our expectation, but others' expectations. So this often shows up in your communication, making it difficult for your input to be heard. And the third kind of consequence is the reluctance to try new things. So people affected with imposter syndrome have been known to leave jobs because they think they cannot do their work, or they find any challenging situation really, really stressful, that they say, okay, I'm just freaking out. I cannot do this, you know? So this is another consequence of the imposter syndrome. So another couple of questions for self-reflection. Ask yourself, what would you do if you thought you were ready? What could you do today if you were brave? So let's think about this, and please share your replies, your responses on the chat box, because I would love to hear what do you think and what are your thoughts on these two questions. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to go through this. and then we're gonna move forward. Yeah. Launch my own company, ask for a promotion. Okay. Apply for director positions. Okay, cool. Change careers. Okay. Start my own business. Be more versatile in different fields of work. Launch my own side business company. Okay, really good. Thank you for sharing, guys. So thank you for this. Okay, so let's move forward. So we really need to embrace these kind of feelings and our own personality, values, and expertise. Okay, but that doesn't mean like we don't need or we should avoid get some inspiration from others. So guess what? This is really important. We are social, we are as human beings, we are social. So even if you are introvert, you always want to, if you want to learn something, is because you have seen someone else that has been an inspiration for you, for instance, right? So get some inspiration from others, but don't compare yourself with them. Everyone has their own journey. So, comparisons, they are not great. I know it's really, really easy to say, but is it true? Because you have to compare yourself with your previous self, like 2 years ago, where I was, and look at me, where I am right now. That kind of comparison is really, really healthy, but don't be like that kind of personality that compare every single time with others versus with yourself. So yeah, so with imposter syndrome, we tend to exaggerate everyone else's accomplishment and downplay our own. So we spend hours on social media, either Facebook, Instagram, TikToks, LinkedIn. So sometimes it seems like everyone is living a better life than I am. So that is yes, that is the truth, right? So we always are looking or at Instagram and just scrolling down and checking different kind of profiles, and they seem more successful, happier, and thinner than us, right? So we know intellectually these comparisons aren't healthy. Those of us with imposter syndrome continually compare ourselves to other people. So separate social media from real life. If all of you know about someone comes from Facebook or Instagram, you have got a very, very distorted picture of your life, okay? Because that is like a kind of fake reality, let's say, the social media. So you get here a really, really good quote from one of my favorite, women founders. So Stephanie Sword Williams, she said, you get noticed based on the content you put out of the world. So I really recommend you, if you have not read the book, so go through social media, LinkedIn, and search for Stephanie Sword Williams. She's a founder and author of Fucking Being Humble, and it's really, really good. So I really encourage you all to read and follow her on social media. Yeah, so you get noticed content you put out to the world. So here, a kind of little exercise. I'm gonna give you 2 exercises. So this is the first one. So in the era of TikToks, Instagram, selfies. So why instead of take a selfie of yourself, or when you go on vacation, take a selfie of what you are eating, for instance. So why you don't take a picture of a recent project you successfully completed? Follow people on social media who might be able to connect you with new opportunities, and share advice that can genuinely help people while simultaneously putting your name on the map. So pay forward this hashtag. I really highly recommend you to follow this hashtag, because there are a lot of opportunities to pay forward, either as a speaker, either as a kind of facilitator. It's a really good way, not just to build your leadership skills, but also to give back to others, right? I can say from my own experience, I have been really, really grateful to have amazing mentors in my life, that now that I am, in my mid-level career, so I'm just looking forward to giving back to others and become a mentor versus the mentee that I was at some point. Yeah, so this is an exercise that I would really, really encourage you all to complete. And it's really easy. At the end of the day, it's just about, make sure that we adjust a little bit our social media kind of, routine. Yeah, so find your path to become a leader. You are the owner, as I mentioned before, you are the owner of your life, and you're responsible for your own success. So advocate for yourself. Share your knowledge with others, educate others, and become a mentor. Volunteer to lead a social initiative aligned with your values, with your mission. There are plenty of ways to be a leader, whether in your workplace or outside. You don't have to be a CEO to be a leader. Influence, change the way people think is impossible. Come up with constructive change, activism, and role model. So take share of your own career. This starts at the school by joining societies or communities, group projects at your school, at your university, and take the role of leader by inspiring others. So this is a really, really good way to develop your leadership skills. And also to look at the go-to person when it's related to, leadership. And it's not just about you as a professional, but it's also about you as a human being who is living here in a society where some kind of legacy that you're gonna leave is your knowledge that you are sharing, right? So be the person that champions, connects, introduces, and refers people who deserve it. Yeah, so here are some numbers. So no matter the specific profile, if you struggle with confidence, you are far from alone, as we saw before. So, really, really inspirational women like Maya Angelou, Meryl Streep, Michelle Obama, they have faced imposter syndrome. So studies suggest that 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. So take today as an opportunity to start accepting and embracing your capabilities. Be kind with yourself. This is the most important kind of suggestion for overcome imposter syndrome. Thoughts are not facts. So we control our thoughts and feelings. So don't be mean to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Take a break if you need it. There are too many things going on right now, and the current circumstances that you need to take some proper time for you just to self-reflect and disconnect. Give yourself a break. Give permission to yourself to just be who you are, what you want to do, what are your values, and give credit for what you have achieved so far. Go back to your list of accomplishments. gather data about the wins and keep track of everything, either a small win that you had done during the day. So write it down, keep a journal next to your bed and write it down, 2 or 3 wins that you had during the day. And then next day in the morning when you wake up and see that, so it's a really, really positive way to, start the day. So chase it until you ace it. Sometimes people say fake it until you make it, but I honestly believe that this is a better one. Chase it until you ace it. Prepare yourself, self-reflect, and be aware of what are your weaknesses, your strengths, your values, and then try to figure out the way to go for those goals that you set every single time that you want to pursue a kind of either career, a new country where you want to live, for instance. So make sure that everything is aligned to your values and your mission as a person, as a human being. So not just professionally, because we have to make sure that we are happy in a kind of 360 view, not just in my professional life or personal life, because at the end of the day, yeah, the professional life is part of myself, but I have a mission and some values, and I need to make sure that they are aligned. So yeah, so chase it until you ace it. And I'm gonna share with you an example on this. So I was struggling with working out at home when the pandemic hit. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, so what I gonna do? Because, I am normally go to the gym. So I never try exercise before from home. So this was my first time. I was thinking, I gonna be bored. This will not work out. But I started 20 minutes. And then after a while, 2 or 3 weeks. So guess what? It was something that I naturally, it turned out in a kind of habit. And now I'm doing like 45 minutes from Monday to Friday. And it's like a kind of routine. And I'm really enjoying. So it's a matter of just set what you want to achieve and go for that. Yeah, so this is the last part of this session. So you need to collect facts, okay? As I mentioned before, keep track of your accomplishment, gonna help you a lot to overcome imposter syndrome. So keep an accomplishment journal for your personal and professional life is something that is really, really high recommended. So write down something that you are proud of every day. I normally do this at night because it's where I take a break before I sleep. Yeah, and even the smallest thing will make the difference, to be honest. So when I started to work out, as I mentioned, so I wrote down like, okay, so today I got 20 minutes and it was fun. Or today I got 20 minutes, but I think I need to change the music because I was not feeling really motivated. So in that way, you're gonna be positive with you, giving positive feedback, but at the same time, some areas of improvement. So this is gonna help you a lot to move forward. So do the same at work, okay? When you receive appreciation from your manager, for example, or you have gone beyond expectations, so, keep tangible evidence of your positive contributions, not just for your performance review, but also for your own development as human being. So reading these notes will help you recover when imposter syndrome strikes. And make sure that, remind yourself regularly that you are rare, unique, talented, and appreciated, okay? So here a tip. Before going to bed, spend 10 minutes writing down your wins, small or big, personal or professional. Write them down and then read them every morning when you wake up. And this is a really, really good way to empower yourself and start really, really nice the day. Yeah, so you are enough. Don't compare yourself with others. And yeah, just make sure that, you know, everything that you are doing is aligned with your values, with your core values and your mission. So here are the exercise that I would like to give you all, just to make sure that, you know, you have some kind of, you know, training, probation, let's say. So this is the ISO certification. I bet you know what this is about, okay? So when things don't work as they should, it often means that standards are absent. So here the exercise, the ISO certification for yourself. So write it down, anything relevant, important, or interesting that you want to say about yourself. And always start with the pronouns I, because when you say I am powerful, I am brave, that unconsciously work much better than say like, you know, this day was great. No, why this day was great. So I know I got an email from my manager saying I was doing a really good job, for instance. So always start with the pronouns I. So remember that the first thing you say, so let's make it positive, okay? I am brave, I am happy, I am powerful, I am intelligent, you know? Then the S will, speaking about yourself, remember to speak about your strengths. Always work on your weaknesses, but focus on your strengths when you are speaking about yourself. The more common or more predominant ones will have a greater connect, but at the same time, let it be unique to you. What do you want to people to remember about you? Okay, so keep this in mind. And then the O, the objective. What do you want to achieve for yourself at the end of the 3 weeks? Why this is an exercise of 3 weeks time? Because there is a kind of research done by Maxwell Maltz that says doing, saying, or being something for 21 days to make something become a habit. And this is the example that I share with you about the workout from home that I started 20 minutes, and after 3 weeks that became a habit. So this is a really, really good one to exercise and make sure that you have that level of self-awareness about you. So here is the exercise. So create an introduction video based on ISO certification that I mentioned before, maximum 90 seconds or less, and post it on your LinkedIn profile. Use the hashtag IAM and ISO 2020 challenge. You can either post this on LinkedIn or you can share that with me by email. So either way, I will check it out and I will give you my feedback, because I think this is a really good exercise about self-awareness and also self-reflection. So either way, please make sure that you use the hashtag on social media or just share the link to the video by email. And that is all from me. So thank you very much for joining today. And here are my contact details, my email address, and my LinkedIn profile. So yeah, so Sam, over to you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. What an awesome presentation. And thanks everybody for all your helpful comments and stories and thoughts and feelings in the chat. It was really interesting to kind of hear from other people who are going through the same exact thing as you. It can feel really tough and isolating, but to know that there are others going through it really helps. So feel free to leave questions in the Q&A. You can leave them as yourself or anonymously. One already came through, so I'm going to start off with that one. Takaya asked, I feel uncomfortable writing about my accomplishments. How can I overcome that, especially when I'm going out and asking other people to recommend me?
Yeah, that is a really, really good question. So I was feeling the same because I tended to just focus on my kind of mistakes or areas of improvements. And it has been really, really hard work for me to try to figure out a way to dive into my accomplishments. So what I started to do is like a kind of routine, setting up just some time at the end of the day, not just to write down like my accomplishment, but also just to do a recap about the day and say like, okay, today, so I completed this project. So what worked out and what didn't. So if you do this like every single day, instead of wait until the end of the month or the end of the semester or the quarterly, for the quarterly performance review, for instance. So maybe you don't remember every single detail, how you were feeling, how, why that didn't work out, for instance, right? So a really good approach to do this is try to be constant and try to set some time for your own kind of improvement. Just 10 minutes is enough to self-reflect, and then also do this exercise. Just write down how the day was. So it's not about just say like, okay, so I was leading this project and I got, I don't know, 5 people joining the events, okay? So it's not just about that. You have to do a kind of proper recap, a paragraph, a really short paragraph about what was great, for example, during the day. And in your personal life as well, it's like, okay, today I didn't have time to speak with, I don't know, with my best friend. So how are you gonna work out to make sure that I have some time for my social relationship with my friends, for instance? So if you find this really difficult, so what I really suggest is like attach this kind of time that you set for yourself just before go to bed, because you have to sleep. So if you have like next to your bed a kind of notebook where you're gonna write down all your accomplishments, or even a kind of a storytelling about how was your day, that's gonna help you a lot.
Awesome. A great question here from Whitney. It kind of applies to anybody who's managing other people. How would I identify others who are experiencing imposter syndrome? Is it common for them to use disqualifying language, or are there any other signals I should look out for?
Yeah, so for example, when you see that either someone who has been a really good performer, so maybe they are getting a bit behind on some projects, so that is like a red flag that something is happening. So you can ask that person, so what is going on, in a really like straightforward or something positive, like I have seen that, this project is a bit behind. So do you need some help, or how I can help you to, move forward? That is a really good way to approach to this, because sometimes people, for example, the perfectionist type of personality, so they will never say like, I need some kind of support. They will never say, yeah, so this is what is going on. So you have to make sure that you see different kind of red flags. It's not just about, if someone is late at work, that is maybe another kind of behavior. But when you feel or when you see that someone who has been a really good, performer, so is a bit behind in some specific projects, or even some emails that you have sent like 3 weeks ago and they don't reply. So just, set up like 30 minutes or a really quick catch up one-to-one basis. And that's gonna help a lot, because at the end of the day, as a manager, what you are, part of your role is make sure that your team is successful. So how you gonna do that is being able to, have that relationship with that, with your team, that go beyond just, get things done, versus how I gonna help you to improve this.